Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the last video in my series looking at armored warfare and the main battle tank specifically. This is the Leopard 2A5. Now I have just unlocked this tank in this event, and the game that you're going to see is my first game played in this tank, completely unupgraded and bone stock, so you can get a sense of what this tank is like. Now, for those of you who are here mainly to watch Star Citizen videos and are wondering why I'm doing this, well, just because I enjoy armored warfare, I enjoy tanks, I like to blow shit up. So it's just natural for me to make these videos and to just kind of highlight this game and to give you guys information if you're looking at another game to kind of kill time waiting for your ships to be released into Star Citizen, or just something to play as just something else to do apart from flying your spaceships all the time. Now, also, these videos have been something of a bit of a proof of concept, something that I want to do going forward in Star Citizen. Once CIG gets a little further ahead in development, once there's a little bit more meat on our plates, this is what I intend to do in Star Citizen going forward. And so it's been kind of a look at the time required to do these videos on a daily basis, to release them, to edit them, and is it even a viable idea to produce content at this rate while still having a life outside of just playing video games and going to work. So far so good. Everything looks pretty good, and hopefully very soon I'll be able to do those videos for Star Citizen. But anyways, we are going back to this tank. This is the Leopard 2A5. Now the Leopard line is it's a bit of a mixed bag. I have to be honest with you. There are good tanks in the line, but the hallmark of the Leopard line, at least the early Leopards, the Leopard 1, the Leopard 1A5, and the OF40, which kind of slots in between those two at tier 3, 4, and 5, are difficult tanks to play because they don't offer much in the way of armor protection. Now, when you get to the Leopard 2AV, it gets a little bit better. The Leopard 2 at tier 7, a little bit better than that. But once you get to this tank, the Leopard 2A5, the protection really kicks in, and this is when I feel the line really starts to shine. But you know what? Let's get into a battle, and I'll show you what I mean. Now, this is my very first battle in the tank. It has no upgrades. It is using stock shells, so it is not going to be hitting all that hard. I have yet to basically upgrade anything on it. So what you're seeing is basically, if you go all the way up to tier 8 and you get a Leopard 2A5, this is exactly what you're going to get. Now, I have fought this battle before, so I am kind of aware of where the spawns are coming from, and I'm just trying to do my best to put myself in a position where I can fire at most of the enemies as they appear. Basically trying to give myself the broadest coverage of the map as much as possible without making myself too much of a target, though ironically I'm saying that while I'm standing out in the open on a hill, but it works out. Generally, the NPCs tend to go for what's closest to them. So, being, kind of posed up on top of a hill like this isn't that bad. Now, overall, like the Leopard line, there are some people out there who are not fans of it and who definitely don't have positive things to say about the Leopard line. But in a PVE sense, especially with main battle tanks, it's not so bad with these tanks. The PVE, obviously, it's a little bit more forgiving than PvP, and so you really can produce viable results with tanks that some people would describe as being less than optimal. But honestly, as far as PvE is concerned, I have found no issues with the Leopard. Of course, this is only one game played in the tank, and I have yet to really take it forward and really ring it out and give it a try. And I haven't really upgraded it, but it performed very, very well. And I don't feel in any way that progressing up this line was really a waste of time. Now, as far as progression goes, this is of course my fourth tier 8 main battle tank. Well, now I have two tier 9s, being the what is it, the M1A2 and the Challenger 2. And some people might look at that, especially that I have just shy of, or just over actually, 1,000 games played in PVE mode. Some people might look at that and say, how did you do that fast with so few battles? And really, I mean, if there's one thing that I'm pretty good at, and that's generating rep in the battles. I'm very aware of where to stage myself, as you can see, so that I can take advantage of enemies coming from multiple directions. And I've learned the battles. I've learned where to hang out, where are the best places to deal damage from, where you can consistently have targets being fed to you. And I mean, as much as some people like to deride PvE battles and say well, PvE is garbage and you should be playing PvP. I generally enjoy it. I enjoy having to learn where the weak spots are on tanks. I've learned how to be as efficient as possible, at least for myself, in these battles, and I try to do the best that I can, and I always try to bring my best foot forward for my team because, obviously a win for me is a win for them, and so even though sometimes, teammates will do things that aren't exactly the greatest, I've just found that it's better to just not say anything and just keep fighting through the battle and just do the best that you can to try and make sure that in the end the battle is a win, even if you don't survive it. Now, one of the other things that I do that I like to I like to try and be consistent with is I realize that when you're playing a game like this, you might not have a lot of time to grind out tanks, and you might sit there and go, I'd love to get to Leopard. I'd love to get to Leopard 2A6, which is the tier 9, or I'd love to get to or what is it, 2A6 or 2A9? Sorry, 2A6. Or, you'd like to get to one of the tier 9 tanks, but you don't want to put a lot of time into it. The truth is if you just kind of log in and catch your daily double, which is your experience bonus, and you just do the daily missions, which is one easy match, one medium match, and one hard match, and just pick like decent tanks to do those with, you can actually pull in a fair amount of money as long as you're patient, and a fair amount of reps. So you can actually progress quite comfortably through these lines, just doing your daily doubles and then picking up the medium or easy match to round out the credit bonus for the day, and just progress that way. I mean, it's not the fastest way to progress, but it is, like, you're looking at my progression in game. My progression is very much the product of that approach to the game, just being patient and just saying, oh well, you know what, I'm not earning that much credits, but I'll get through it. If I have to wait 10 extra days just to pull down the credits to be able to upgrade a tank, then that's just the way it is. And apparently, as far as PvE credit earnings go, it's only going to get better in the future. So far, I really just don't have any complaints. As far as things that I would say are just game breaking, it's a fun game to play, and I enjoy it. And even though the progression, I'm taking a slower approach, it has been a lot more relaxed and a lot more enjoyable. And the simple fact of the matter is like, I know a lot of people might not be looking at this game for main battle tanks, but it's just main battle tanks offer you the most options and the most opportunities to kind of get through a battle without having to worry too much about the damage that you're taking. They're a lot more forgiving, and I feel that it's a good way, like if you're playing this game, it's good to start off with a solid main battle tank line and then go from there, because the main battle tanks will teach you a lot about the game mechanics, about the weak points on enemy vehicles and how to exploit them, and how to position yourself to get the best shots in. And even with some tanks that seem somewhat invincible from the front, there are usually little weak points that you can hit that you can actually get critical damage consistently through them, shooting through the front of sometimes what people would consider to be extremely resilient, if not invincible, from the front tanks. So there's a lot to learn in playing PVE, and just taking a calm approach to the game can actually yield some pretty strong dividends. Identified. Now we're just kind of winding things up here. I'm just kind of making sure that cap resets. That's another thing about the Leopard. The Leopard is very consistent, I think, with the Abrams. They both have a good fire on the move capability, and of course that's bone stock, and I'm still able to hit that shot. And there are item upgrades in this tank that allow for greater fire on the move accuracy. Now it does have limited retrofit slots in that there are only 2 of them, but the tank comes stock very strong, so it's not that I don't really feel that it's that much of a detriment to the tank overall that it only has 2 retrofit slots. And to be perfectly honest, in order to save money upgrading through tanks, I really haven't put retrofits on just about any tank that I own, except for maybe like my BMPT Terminator, which I've put basic retrofits on it, but not expensive ones. And some of the tanks, even when you're progressing up the lines, when you become good at them, you don't even really have to buy the item upgrades if you don't want to. I mean, as you can see, I'm going to do pretty decently in this match with a bone stock tank. And for a lot of the games that I was playing in my T90, I wasn't upgrading my T90 either, even though I had the experience to do it. I would unlock the modules, but I wouldn't buy them just because I found that I didn't need them. I could still perform very strongly with the tank in bone stock configuration without having to spend all those credits on added items and upgrades to the tank. And that's another thing to think about when you're progressing through the game. So it looks like we've just about wound things up here. We've won the battle and we've done pretty decently for ourselves. So we'll just take a look at the end plates, see how we did, and then we will once again return to making videos on Star Citizen. Now, if you're watching this video was, I believe, yeah. So this video was recorded on Wednesday. So I'm, once again, I'm just testing the idea of how to produce content in a more regular manner for Star Citizen once the game kind of fleshes out. Not too bad, not too shabby for a bone stock tank. And one other thing to note about this tank is if you look at the damage, I mitigated over 11,000 damage with this tank, bone stock, and there are no real armor upgrades to this tank. So this tank does come very, very strongly armored right out of the box. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this look at Armored Warfare. If you'd like to see more Armored Warfare videos in the future, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching.